All right, guys, we're proceeding with part 3 of Monsters Are Due on Maple Street. And here we go.
It's the monster! It's the monster!
Another woman lets out a wail, and the people fall back in a group staring toward the darkness and the approaching figure. The people stand in the shadows watching. Don Martin joins them, carrying a shotgun. He holds it up.
We may need this.
A shotgun? No. Will anybody think a thought around here? Will you people wise up? What good would a shotgun do against...
The dark figure continues to walk toward them as the people stand there, fearful, mothers clutching children, men standing in front of their wives.
No more talk, Steve. You're gonna talk us into a grave. You'd let whatever's out there walk right over us, wouldn't you? Well, some of us won't.
Charlie swings around, raises the gun, and suddenly pulls the trigger. The sound of the shot explodes in the stillness. The figure suddenly lets out a small cry, stumbles forward onto his knees, and then falls forward on his face. Don, Charlie, and Steve race forward to him. Steve is there first and turns the man over. The crowd gathers around them.
It's Pete Van Horn.
Pete Van Horn. He was just gonna go over to the next block to see if the power was on.
You killed him, Charlie. You shot him dead.
But I didn't know who he was. I certainly didn't know who he was. He comes walking out of the darkness. How am I supposed to know who he was? Steve, you know why I shot. How was I supposed to know he wasn't a monster or something? We're all scared of the same thing. I was just trying to protect my home, that's all. Look, all of you. That's all I was trying to do. I didn't know it was somebody we knew. I didn't know.
There's a sudden hush, and then an intake of breath in the group. Across the street, all the lights go on in one of the houses.
Charlie. The lights just went on in your house. Why did the lights just go on?
What about it, Charlie? How come you're the only one with lights now?
That's what I'd like to know.
Pausing, they all stare toward Charlie.
You were so quick to kill Charlie, and you were so quick to tell us who we had to be careful of. Well, maybe you had to kill. Maybe Pete there was trying to tell us something. Maybe he'd found out something and came back to tell us who there was amongst us we should watch out for.
Charlie backs away from the group, his eyes wide with fright.
No, it's nothing of the sort. I don't know why the lights are on. I swear I don't. Somebody's pulling a gag or something.
He bumps against Steve, who grabs him and whirls him around.
A gag? A gag? Charlie, there's a dead man on the sidewalk and you killed him. Does this thing look like a gag to you?
Charlie breaks away and screams as he runs toward his house.
No! Please!
A man breaks away from the crowd to chase Charlie. As the man tackles him and lands on top of him, the other people start to run toward them. Charlie gets up, breaks away from the other man's grasp, and lands a couple of desperate punches that push the man aside. Then he forces his way, fighting through the crowd, and jumps up on his front porch. Charlie is on his porch as a rock thrown from the group smashes a window beside him. The broken glass flying past him. A couple of pieces cut him. He stands there, perspiring, rumpled, blood running down from a cut on the cheek. His wife breaks away from the group to throw herself into his arms. He buries his face against her. We can see the crowd converging on the porch.
It must have been him.
He's the one. We gotta get Charlie.
Another rock lands on the porch. Charlie pushes his wife behind him, facing the group.
Look. I swear to you, it isn't me. But I do know who it is. I swear to you, I do know who it is. I know who the monster is here. I know who it is that doesn't belong. I swear to you, I know.
All right, Charlie. Let's hear it.
It's...
Go ahead, Charlie.
It's the kid. It's Tommy. He's the one.
There's a gasp from the crowd as we see Sally holding the boy. Tommy at first doesn't understand, and then, realizing the eyes are all on him, buries his face against his mother.
That's crazy. He's only a boy.
But he knew. He was the only one. He told us all about it. Well, how did he know? How could he have known?
How could he know?
Who told him? Make the kid answer.
The crowd starts to converge around the mother, who grabs Tommy and starts to run with him. The crowd starts to follow, at first walking fast and then running after him. Suddenly, Charlie's lights go off, and the lights in other houses go on, then off.
It isn't the kid. It's Bob Weaver's house.
It isn't Bob Weaver's house. It's Don Martin's place.
I tell you, it's the kid.
It's Charlie. He's the one.
Get the kid over here.
People shout, accuse, and scream as the lights go on and off. Then slowly, in the middle of this nightmarish confusion of sight and sound, the camera starts to pull away until, once again, we have reached the opening shot, looking at the Maple Street sign from high above. Scene 2. The camera continues to move away while gradually bringing into focus a field. We see the metal side of a spacecraft that sits shrouded in darkness. An open door throws out a beam of light from the illuminated interior. 2 figures appear, silhouetted against the bright lights. We get only a vague feeling of form.
Understand the procedure now. Just stop a few of their machines and radios and telephones and lawnmowers. Throw them into darkness for a few hours, and then just sit back and watch the pattern.
And this pattern is always the same.
With few variations. They pick the most dangerous enemy they can find, and it's themselves. And all we need do is sit back and watch.
Then I take it this place, this Maple Street, is not unique.
By no means. Their world is full of Maple Streets, and we'll go from one to the other and let them destroy themselves. One to the other. One to the other. One to the other.
Scene 3. The camera slowly moves up for a shot of the starry sky, and over this, we hear the narrator's voice.
The tools of conquest do not necessarily come with bombs and explosions and fallout. There are weapons that are simply thoughts, attitudes, prejudices, to be found only in the minds of men. For the record, prejudices can kill and suspicion can destroy. A thoughtless, frightened search for a scapegoat has a fallout all its own for the children, and the children yet unborn. And the pity of it is that these things cannot be confined to the Twilight Zone.